Hello and welcome to your latest West Ham transfer rumours show with myself and Gonzo, where we're just going to tell you the latest rumours and react to them a little bit, give our opinion on them, and you can let us know what your opinion is in the comments below once the video is finished. And Gonzo, first one, let's start with the outgoing. Pedro Obiang. He's sort of one of those players we sort of half expect to leave West Ham in the near future, whether it's not this window, this is summer one, but it looks like Fiorentina have put in a €10 million bid for him, which we've rejected. I mean, £10 million to me seems a bit on the short side, actually. I don't think he's a fantastic. I don't think he's like, an amazing footballer. But in this day and age, in this market, I just think 10 million for Obiang's quite little.
I think so, but I can also understand their way of thinking about it, and that's that we paid, I think it was 5 million to Sampdoria for him. So clearly he's known to that market, and he's never really succeeded at West Ham. Let's be perfectly honest about it. As much as he's had fits and starts, there was he's had his goal against Southampton, and he's had a couple of times, and obviously what was that super goal? He scored a super goal against
Spurs at Wembley.
Spurs. What's a goal that was? Of course it was. There's not been an awful lot else, and whenever he's got into the team, he's not actually been able to hold down a place. And I think it's no big secret. So whoever comes in for him, be it Fiorentina or anybody else, are going to know that he's not able to hold down a place. So they're very much bidding for somebody that can't make our team, doubling our money. I sort of get it, and I'm surprised we've batted it away, really. I think it's a risky strategy, bearing in mind they might not come back with 12 or whatever we're looking for.
I understand why they've rejected it. And that is what if he leaves, we need to get someone in sharpish. He's our third choice centre midfielder behind Noble and Rice, so he's got a big part to play. Whether he's not first choice or not, he's still got a big role. And if we sell him, we need someone in tomorrow. And £10 million does not give you a lot of sway in this, unless Huselos is something lined up. And the fact that we've rejected it, to me, would insinuate we don't have a player for that price. There is obviously Shelvey and Medel. They're the two players you'd expect to come in. But I consider them replacements rather than upgrades, if you like. Yes, Shelby's passing's better, but he's never really. He's one of those players, I think, in years to come, when on our forum, they always pop up these threads. Players that had good potential that never really did as well as you thought they would have. I think Shelby, someone will mention actually, this guy looked really good, and he always looked good, but he just never really kicked on a little bit. So for that reason, I can see why. At the end of the day, we saw Chiati for 10 million, and Obiang's a better footballer than Chiati. I'm sorry, but he is. And when he came on against Arsenal, we kind of thought he did well, Obiang. I thought he came on, had his role, which was retain possession, etc., slot into midfield three. He did it brilliantly. I just like to see him have another 6 months under Pellegrini, if Pellegrini can get a better player out of him, if you like. And just 10 million just seems on the short side. But Medel and Shelvey are the two that we'd expect to go for should he leave. Would you be happy with either of them, or just one of them, or none of them?
Well, I remember Medel, I think he was at Cardiff, wasn't he? And I thought he possibly, I don't know why I remember it, but I think he might have even got man of the match in his first game in the Premier League or something like that. I seem to remember them raving about him on Match of the Day. That doesn't mean I remember that much about him, though, and I must be truthful about that. They called him a pit bull. I remember him a sort of stocky, snarling type with a sort of funny haircut, mohawk type haircut, shaved at the sides. I think that was the fella. Different player to Shelvey, clearly. As a defensive midfielder, any defensive midfielder is going to be looking now at West Ham, and it is going to be a Harry Kane situation. And what I mean by that is Tottenham have famously struggled to bring in a striker, because anybody that goes in there knows they're going to have to play fiddle to Harry Kane. Even if Tottenham went and spent 30 million, 40 million on a striker, they're going to be second choice. And I think that's going to be something that happens with West Ham now. Whoever comes in, they're going to have to be happy to play second fiddle to Declan Rice in defensive midfield. I think Shelvey comes in as a different type of player, and that's going to be somebody that's a playmaker to open things up, the long-range passing, a lot more technical, a lot less tackling, and if he does tackle, everybody better be careful because he's not very good at it. Either or, Geo, either or would do, but they're both filling different positions. But I think the thing is with Obiang, we've seen this gradual evolution of what Manuel Pellegrini wants to do, and I think we saw it really bearing fruit against Arsenal. These triangles, those little passer moves, the little flicks on the edge of the area, and that sort of thing. I just don't think Obiang's going to be able to do that. I think Pellegrini probably doesn't see that as the case, which is why I won't be disappointed if he goes.
Well, interesting. Well, more to come on that one. I expect more than 10 million anyway, but we'll wait and see if Fiorentina come back in. The only other talk is Marko Arnautovic. The transfer fee we've slapped on him is apparently £50 million. And the other rumour is that he will be replaced in this window should he leave. 50 million, is that what you would consider to be a fair price in your opinion?
Yeah, I just think all the rumours and all the gossip that have gone on would have driven his value down, Geo. Anyway, I think that can't that certainly can't increase his value. I think the injuries as well, not that there's anything long term. We're not talking about Andy Carroll here, but he's not going to play every game each season. He does pick up niggles. I would accept. I think they will accept 45 million. I've thought that for some time. I think if the Chinese clubs slap another 10 million on top, we're going to take it. And the thing that I find key about this is how much does Pellegrini rate him? David Sullivan's come out and said tonight, just literally tonight, that it's up to Pellegrini if Pellegrini wants to sell him. Now, that's interesting, because if it is up to Pellegrini, that means Pellegrini has turned down 35 million, which is 35 million euros, without being too boring about it. So what does Pellegrini value him at? Is Pellegrini saying he doesn't want him to go? You'd imagine Pellegrini is aware of any personal circumstances more than anybody else. So I don't know. I don't know if that's strictly true that he has the final say. I wouldn't be surprised if 45 million comes in, and then Pellegrini will be looking at any number of strikers who I'm sure you got listed down there, mate. Yeah,
Pellegrini will know how much his replacement will cost, though, because it's believed that Pellegrini was aware of circumstances before the transfer window opened, so he would have known to, even when he's been linked to Man U and stuff, we would have had to have a list of strikers drawn up just in case Man United or Chelsea that came waving the big check and said, we'll have Arnautovic, please. We needed someone to come in immediately like that. What's today's date? The 14th. So what's that? 17 days left of the transfer window. It's not that long, really. If we wait 2 days for the China club to come back with 40 million, we reject that, and you wait another 2 days, all of a sudden you've only got 10 days of the window left. It's not that long to go get someone in, especially when you're dealing with that big a sum of money and you're looking for a number one striker. It's a horrible window to buy in, as we all know. I don't think the summer window is that much easier at all. Instead, if you're searching for a number one striker, he's still a number one striker. It doesn't matter what window you're in. No one wants to sell their top player in August any more than they do in January. So I don't know why this whole "it's difficult to buy in January" thing happens. It's true to an extent, but at the same time, I think it's just a convenient excuse. We'll put it in the basket along with financial fair play rulings. Well, it's just a convenient excuse to get out of buying, and it goes there. And I think clubs just use it as a way of sort of covering up their expensive mistakes they've made in the past, i.e. Jordan Hugo. Rather than spend 20 million, we spent 9, and we ended up with this guy who can't cut it in the Premier League. Pellegrini will have his list of replacements. He'll know who he wants, and he'll know exactly how much they cost, so he knows what he needs to get out of the Arnautovic deal in order to... It's a game of dominoes, really, isn't it? Arnautovic goes, ping, the dominoes start to fall. We then go after another striker. That club then needs to go get their striker, etc. And all the dominoes start falling. We are, unfortunately, the first domino, which makes it... The ball's in our court a little bit, but it's also difficult because the team you go to next are obviously not going to want to sell. But I'll tell you what, the rumours... Now, this, we must stress, this is just rumours on social media, okay? This isn't factual, anything like that. The rumours are he's having to go because of money, and it's related to gambling. I just want to say that I hope that if it is gambling, I hope the club have done all they can to help him prior to him leaving, because gambling can be a difficult thing. There's three things, if you like. There's people that do it sporadically and they don't care about gambling. They lose, they win, great. Then there's the ones that do it probably a bit more, that get a buzz out of it, but it's not an addiction as such. But then there's a very, very fine line between that and the next phase, which is they're addicted to it. And if he has got an addiction and stuff, I do hope West Ham have done all they can to help Arnautovic rather than offloading him, because, up here in Scotland right now at Celtic, Lee Griffiths is sort of absent from Celtic because now they say he's got a mental health problem, and they've told Lee to go away take as much time as you need. The club will support him. The club will help him. He doesn't have to worry about playing football. Let's get you back on track with your life and your health, and then come back when you're ready. Now, there's a lot of rumours up here. Again, just rumours. A lot of rumours up here is actually gambling, and the club are saying it's mental health in order to just try and help him and get him away. But I just hope that we've done all we can to help him out, rather than just offload him and his problems, if you like, as one big thing. Go, nah, see you later, Arnautovic. Away you go. All you have to do is listen to interviews that Matthew Etherington has done since retiring from football, and the amount of respect and admiration and gratefulness he has for West Ham for helping him out with his addiction. They cleared his debts back then. It was them, the club, that sat him down and told him that you've got a problem here and you need to get it sorted. And they helped him. And he always mentions it, and he's very open about it. He speaks very openly about his addiction he had with gambling, about how West Ham was the club that helped him through it. And I just hope that we would do that with Arnautovic. But the thing with this rumour is, if it is true, no one wins in this situation. West Ham don't win because their best player, one of their best player leaves. We probably don't get the full transfer value for him. Arnautovic's family look to be settled in London. He has to leave. That's obviously with his own personal problems going on. Just a footballing point of view, nobody wins from this, and it's a shame that it's come to this, I think, Gonzo, because he is a very good player. He's been our best player in the calendar year of 2018. We would have went down without his goals last season, and I don't want how he leaves West Ham to tarnish his time here, if you like. Someone said to me, well, what's the right way to leave a club? I don't think he's gone about it that wrong, in all honesty. The club clearly know he wants to go. He's dealt with it internally for a long period of time. And now on Saturday, I thought he did what he'd been doing all season against Arsenal. A lot of people say he wasn't trying. I thought he was trying, just wasn't coming off for him. He just had a bad day at the office. And he's repeatedly said that his brother and Martin Nobles obviously spoke on his behalf and said if he stays here, if he plays anymore against West Ham, he'll continue to give 100%. What more can you ask for? If he moves, he moves. If he doesn't, he's going to give 100% for the shirt. But following Martin Noble's comments, Michael Antonio on Goals on Sunday basically said everyone knows Marko wants to go, etc. It looks like his time is up at West Ham, Phil Gonzo.
Yeah, I don't think I can't speak. I can only speak for myself, but I get the vibe, let's say. I don't think it's going to be that acrimonious if he goes. And I think there's a really good reason for that. And that's because I think the club, and in particular the team, the first team squad, is in a far better position than we were. It's not that long ago. You only have to look back to last season under Moyes. It would have been devastating and crippling for the team to lose Marko Arnautovic. Well, there are new heroes now. There are new players to admire. I would go as far as to say Marko Arnautovic, while he's a very good player, he is not integral or even vital to the way we need to play, and indeed the way Manuel Pellegrini wants us to play. We've had wins this season when Arnautovic was out, and whilst you're right, I don't think, I certainly wouldn't have accused him of not trying. I think he was trying to get involved. He was trying to get involved in those neat little passing triangles that I mentioned earlier on, but never at any point during that game against Arsenal did I think take Marko Arnautovic out of this lineup and we won't be able to play this way. No, I actually thought there were others, Declan Rice, Nasri, Anderson, who I mentioned on the day, who I thought were far more integral to that. Mark Noble, of course, and anyway, there's no point listing the whole team. The whole team did play well. So because of that, I don't think the fans will be that devastated about it and that angry in the way that they were with Payet. I actually think many had sort of resigned to it, have accepted it. And a lot of the stuff, particularly on our forum, and a lot of the stuff on social media, is really musing and wondering about who we will get in as a replacement. And there's almost an excitement about who we might be able to get. I think people have accepted that his time at West Ham is coming to a close. What I would say, though, and what is a shame, aside from obviously everything that you said is absolutely correct, and it's a shame for anybody that's got an addiction, it's also a shame for a player of Marko Arnautovic's talents. Big players want to play on the big stage. Marko Arnautovic enjoys being a big fish. He really does. He enjoys being taken off in the 85th minute so he can get his applause and all the rest of it. He's a bit Hollywood, as many people have said before. That's no place for a player of his talent, his standard. And I mean this in the nicest possible way, his ego and his character, to ply their trades. That is not the correct canvas for an artist like him, put it that way. And so I do think that's a shame.
Yeah, I think it's a shame for him as well. I know it's self-inflicted, his alleged problems, if it's true. I know they're self-inflicted, but I think it's very easy to go from a self-inflicted habit to an addiction that you sort of spirals out of control. I think it is very, very easy. It can just happen like that. And I do feel a bit sorry for him. I do think he needs help, and I hope he gets it at West Ham. And I hope we've tried all we can. But it's a shame. But good player, fantastic to watch him at West Ham, and he's carried this team on occasions throughout some games. And like I said, we would have went down without him. But Gonzo, with potentially £45 million in his back pocket, who are you hoping to see Pellegrini and his sidekick Huselos go for?
Right now, I'm not blessed with European scouting knowledge. So anyway, yesterday I actually started a thread on the forum on hammerschat.com, and I said in the start of the thread, I said replacements for Arnautovic. I said we're going to get links with a whole host of players. We get Callum Wilson. I know who he is. If the price is 75 million, that's absolutely ridiculous. So unless you want to talk about MGO, I'll put him to one side just for that pure and simple reason. If we were to replace him with Callum Wilson for £40 million, I'd be delighted, but it ain't going to happen. Apparently, he's been priced out of it. So I said on the forum, we're going to be linked with a load of players who I've never heard of. So can people please explain who they are? So everybody piled in and gave me an extensive list of good players, and potentially good players, young players, up and coming players, strikers from across Europe who may be in and around that range. And I've got the thread up here. So I actually went and looked at each and every one of them on YouTube, which, of course, as we know, is a wonderful source of how good a player is, as we remember from Julian Faubert's fantastic YouTube video. But I'm a little bit more clued up, Geo, now, and I've got a list of 10 odd names in front of me, mate. So we'll talk about whichever ones you want, mate.
Well, if anyone's been watching this show, they'll know the two that I like from Europe are Jovic and Piatek. So I assume you've been YouTube Googling Piatek and Jovic.
I have indeed. Well, let's go Jovic, because that's the easy one for me first. I'd never seen him before. You're absolutely right. You've spoken about him. I've heard you speak about him. Even on the forum, people are saying, oh, Geo likes this guy. Well, he looks really good. Technically, very, very good. This is the type of player I think we need. I've seen a lot of talk on social media in particular, where people are saying, "Oh, can we find another big striker?" I don't know. I don't necessarily think we need a big striker, Geo. Look at the way we're trying to play. I think we need someone that can link the play, that's an intelligent, a bright footballer, that's technical, and he really looks like that. And that's the first I saw him yesterday. I only watched 8-minute highlights of his season or whatever, but he looked really good. From what I understand, though, he was at Benfica and they've loaned him to Frankfurt. And I think possibly Frankfurt have got first option at 40 million euros. So whether that would happen. Piatek, whatever his name, Pyrotechnics, whatever his name is. I actually wrote this on the forum. I'm just going to read it now. I wrote, he looks like a decent number 9 who finishes well and likes a cross, but I'm not sure he's technical enough for Pellegrini. They all look like poachers and headed finishes from what I saw. He finished well, but he didn't look like somebody that's going to be playing 1-2s and pulling the centre-backs wide and stuff like that, which I think maybe that's what we might be going for.
Who else have you got on your wish list there, the forum's wish list?
Maxi Gomez. Anyone heard of Maxi Gomez?
Everyone's heard of him, but yeah, carry on.
Well, I'll tell you what, he looked like he'd eaten more than I had at Christmas. So I went and checked him. Oh, crikey, really? Not so sure he's mobile enough. Not sure. From what I saw, okay, 8-10 minute clips. I'm not claiming to be an expert. Marega, we know this guy. Big lump, big fella. Looked a decent finisher. Again, I'm not sure if he'd get involved in the build-up play, but looks like an absolute brute up front. It depends what we want. I mean, it looks like a Sam Allardyce dream, quite frankly. Belotti, he looked all right actually, but he looked good. He didn't seem to play. He didn't seem to play to the whistle very much. And anytime anyone touched him, he just sort of moaned. I mean, he didn't play to the whistle. The play carried on. He still moaned at the referee. Hold on, he sort of touched me. So I'm not sure again, the Premier League. Chalov, a geezer called Chalov, Russian, CSKA Moscow, I believe. He looked all right. Milic. Good number 9 again, but couldn't see him sort of mixing with Anderson, Nasri. One that I did like, and I think he might be the partner of Dubry Watset at Frankfurt, is a geezer called Haller. Now, the geezer's massive, absolutely massive. And Newmarket, our friend Tim, who's been on a couple of the vlogs, who some of you might know from the videos, he pointed him out. Well, I never heard of him. Went and looked at him. Blimey, he's good. He's real. I mean, he is, you know, the old cliche, good feet for a big man. He's just got good feet for any size man. He's got good feet for a hobbit, which is probably not right because hobbits have got massive feet. I mean, anyway, whatever. He's got skillful feet. The other one was Pepe, who looks pretty good, but I think he was a winger, and I think it was our friend Clayton, who watches all the shows, who pointed that chap out. There you go, mate.
There's one other striker who I think is a realistic target. I think some of those are halfway to clubs, unfortunately. They're being looked at bigger clubs. Now, this transfer is involved in someone you mentioned. The one we're being linked with tonight is Dzeko. Obviously, he played under Pellegrini. He's at Roma. He's 32 years old now. However, he's only got 18 months left of his contract at Roma, and there's been no sign of a new one yet. And they are apparently in pursuit of Belotti. Now, they were linked with him a year ago, and Torino put a £100 million price tag on him to get rid of the interest. His stocks faltered a little bit in the world of football, if you like. He's not been too on it the past year. So his value's obviously come down a little bit. So now Roma, I think, see him as being, what do you call it, realistically affordable. 100 million, they probably couldn't afford it, but you wouldn't pay that for him. But now it's come down to about 50 million. I think, okay. And I think part of the way of funding that is by offloading a 32-year-old Dzeko. Now, we obviously know a lot about him. Pellegrini knows a lot about him. It would be a bit of a stopgap, if you like, due to his age. However, just last year, a couple of months ago, he was voted Roma's best player of 2018. He's won it for 2 years in a row now, and he's still scoring goals at his final age of 32.
Yeah, and we don't have to worry about whether he will fit into Pellegrini's system, of course, because we know he can fit into Pellegrini's system because he's played under Pellegrini. A very good player. I thought he's an excellent player at Man City. The couple of times I've seen him in the Champions League, actually. I remember Roma, can't remember who. I think Roma played an English club last season. Who was it? Tottenham or City? Can't remember. But he looked really good. Looked like they were scoring loads of goals, Roma. Quite frankly, they can have that Belotti. Crikey. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that at all, mate. Anyone would be happy with Edin Dzeko. I was always say, West Ham are not yet so big a club that we can turn our noses up at players with European pedigree like that, and he certainly has a lot of it. He's won trophies,
I like to think he is our replacement for Andy Carroll, but we're sort of bringing in Carroll's replacement in January. Then in the summer, Carroll will, and then we will replace Carroll with Arnautovic's replacement, if that makes sense. So I think it's a way of not having to spend all the money just yet. And then in the summer, when Carroll's contract comes in, and that's when we bring out the big bucks and we're getting the number one striker. Dzeko sort of falls to the number two / the big guy up front if he wishes to play 4-4-2. And then we've also still got Hernandez on our books. I mean, what a front three that would be if we've got a £50 million player, Dzeko and Hernandez. My only worry is his age. Obviously, Hernandez ain't young either, so two of our strikers would be the wrong side of 30. But that's where you want to see Pellegrini and West Ham go after a sort of a younger, rawer striker so that one of our strikers is, under 25 years old, etc., and does cost the big bucks, but you get rewarded by going and invest. And I think this is where West Ham potentially are maybe getting smacked on the bum a little bit by going for short-term options. Because if Arnautovic was 25, like you said, he'd be worth 70, 80 million. So when China come calling, we sit here going, well, you're paying 70 or 80 million, please. But because we're sort of investing in 29-year-olds, we're over a barrel as well. Because, Arnie's almost 30 now. So when China come in, we think, well, he's almost 30. We're going to have to sell him. So just to get rid of him. If China came for Diop, would be a completely different story. We say no chance. Look how young he is. There's absolutely no way of getting him. If you want him, it's 100 million for you, and we just can't do that with an average duty's age. So I like to think our targets are younger, but certainly for a short term, I think Dzeko would makes sense. Really, it ticks all the boxes. He knows the league. He knows the manager knows him. He would fit into our system reasonably well. I think he's scoring goals. Or would fund Roma to go get their replacement, etc. So I think this one actually makes sense a little bit. Now, one that might not make sense, but it's a very sporadic rumour tonight. It's the last rumour we're talking about. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is in London and apparently in talks with a London club. Now, obviously, he's over at LA Galaxy. He's banging them in the MLS, but their season's now on the down low, so he can, if he wishes, move to another club on loan. But is this another one that would just sort of tickle your fancy? It's a short-term loan, big user up front, banging in the goals. we replace an ego with an ego.
I think you barely noticed the transition. I think it would. You're right. It would appeal to him. It would appeal to us. It's a sort of stage he would love. He would. I think he'd like to play in that stadium as well. You know, we talk about the seats being far from the pitch, and it is a massive arena. I think he'd like that. I really do. I think it's safe to assume the London club's not Chelsea, the London club's not Tottenham, for the reasons I said about Harry Kane. That don't appeal to him. Zlatan, he'd probably say this, Zlatan does not play understudy to Harry Kane. You can imagine him saying the words. But Zlatan certainly does play up front for West Ham. And I think that was... I think he'd love the adulation from the crowd. You do look at a lot of these players, a lot of these clubs. We'll use Chelsea as an example. We use Tottenham. They sing their songs and they got their favourite players. And someone like Ibrahimovic goes in there and is not the superstar. Is he lauded higher than Eden Hazard? Probably not. Is he heralded more than Harry Kane or Dele Alli? Probably not, because those players have endeared themselves to their own fan bases. I tell you what, he comes over to West Ham. It's straight away. Honestly, straight away. There'll be names on the shirts. There'll be funny gifs. There's people making up songs about him. It would be going absolutely mental if he comes to West Ham. I hope it's true, and I hope it's us.
I remember the fanfare for when Hernandez arrived. Remember, all the Mexicans were supporting West Ham. All of a sudden, our YouTube channel had more Mexican comments than English comments, and it would be like that, but on like drugs. You know, it was Zlatan about rocked up at West Ham. It could be people reading. Actually, I say people, me. It could be me reading too much into things. Yesterday, the day before, he had a really big go at Cristiano Ronaldo, because Ronaldo went to Juventus and had a dig at Messi and says, well, I'm trying a new challenge. You're sitting there in your comfy zone in Spain. And Zlatan came out and said, that's not a challenge. You've gone to Juventus, who are already winning things. That's no challenge. So you do wonder, maybe Zlatan's thinking, well, I'm going to go to one of these littler clubs, if you like, in the Premier League, and I'm going to maybe not win something, but I'm going to make a stamp on the Premier League, and I'm going to be able to turn around to Cristiano Ronaldo, if you like. So, yeah, you stick to your... going to your champions already clubs, and I'll come into these lower league ones and get them from 10th to 7th and challenge for the Europa League with them and stuff. The guy would be like Tevez for us, like hero for just a few months, or you play for a few months just because of your prestige, because of your ability, because of your talent, because of your ego. We would put him on a pedestal without even kicking a ball for West Ham. Be like, wow, look at this guy. We've got a legend of football. He is a legend of football. In 10 years, 15, 20 years' time, people will still talk about Zlatan the same way we talk about Ronaldinho today. And it would almost be like fantasy land, wouldn't it, having Zlatan run around for West Ham for a few months? It would be fun. You'd be looking at each other going, what's going on here? A few months ago, we had Zaza, now we've got Zlatan, one Z to the other. But what a difference of footballing ability. Is there any other rumours you've seen or that you'd like to quickly discuss? I mean, we'll do our transfer shows throughout January and our cup of tea. It was a bit more detailed, etc.
No, I don't really know of any others. But what was, when you were saying all that stuff about Ibrahimovic, I was just thinking to myself, you imagine him coming and us winning the club. I mean, winning a cup. Anyone that wins a cup at West Ham, that's got to appeal to someone like him. Pellegrini, I mean, you're a legend. Pellegrini wins the FA Cup at West Ham. He's an absolute legend. You score an FA Cup final goal that wins West Ham their first trophy since 1980. I'm telling you, people are getting tattoos of you all. I'd have Zlatan Ibrahimovic tattooed down my thingy, and there would be people would just be going absolutely mad. There's hero status waiting at this club for anybody that wants it, and I do wonder if that appeals to him, of being the main man at a club like ours rather than doing an Ozil or whatever at Arsenal. I'm not sure he's trying to fit what Emery's trying to do anyway. So I don't know, mate. I'll tell you what, Geo, it's either us or Charlton Athletic, mate.
It could be Arsenal. Arsenal have said they only want loan deals. It could be them, but why would he go there and compete with Aubameyang and Lacazette? It makes no sense. I know Crystal Palace need a striker, but can they afford his wages. You know, you'll still have to pay his wages, whatever he's on at LA Galaxy. I'd imagine it isn't touching 100 grand a week. Can they afford that? Can they justify that? Probably not. That leaves us, Spurs, and Chelsea, and Chelsea need a striker, but Sarri's already spoke about how he wants someone a bit more mobile. Hence why Giroud doesn't get in the team. So you're not going to go get in a 37-year-old. I think he's 37. A 37-year-old striker, are you? That's the last thing you're going to go do. So that leaves us in Spurs and. Would Levy pay his wages? I can't see it. I can't see it pay. That process of elimination leaves us only. And the mad thing is, we've been linked to Zlatan for 2 years now. 2016 was the first summer we were linked to him now. So 2.5 years ago. And we laughed at it. We said, how funny would it be? We'd rather be good. It's unrealistic. But now, actually, you almost get a sense of it could happen. You said there's hero status waiting for someone. I actually think this fan base is now putting all 11 players on the pitch as a hero at West Ham, actually. Because after that Arsenal defeat, I was looking through social media, everyone was getting praised. Fabianski was getting praised. Creswell was getting praised. People were saying, how good is it to see Antonio back? Creswell's back. And, Zabaleta's been hero from day one. We've got Noble and Rice, and everybody's just got this whole... We're actually looking at this squad thinking, you know what, we can relate to them a little bit, and they are giving their all for the badge, etc. And that's why people just aren't scared about Arnautovic leaving. People are quite chilled out about it. I mean, you know what? We're in good hands with Pellegrini. And if he goes, look at December. We played the whole of December without Arnautovic and won every single game until Christmas time. So we can do it. Everybody's just so relaxed. And it's an enjoyable time. It's just enjoyable at the minute. But anyway, Gonzo, we should be back at some other night discussing more transfer rumours. Reece Oxford still hasn't got a club. He will soon have one. Obiang might be on his way out. Antonio's still being linked sporadically to some clubs, and we also need our big striker because our big player's leaving. Hey, Gonzo, I shall speak to you another night. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. You too, sir.
If you've enjoyed the video, drop a like. Also, let us know below who you would like to see come in and replace Marko Arnautovic. As you know, Gonzo will be reading your comments and YouTubing them. If he's not heard of them, then in the next show, he might be discussing the fact that someone mentioned Embolo of Schalke. He might be mentioning something. Someone mentioned Plea of Dortmund. He might be thinking, actually, I'm gonna go have a little look at all these players and look them up. But anyway, drop a like on the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here, and we'll see you very, very soon.